Welcome, brave listeners, to Wilhelm Presents Frightening Tales. I'm your host, Wilhelm. Tune in each week where I entertain my listeners with another dark and creepy tale of the paranormal, donated by authors from around the world. If you're an author of some paranormal fiction and would like to share a story with my listeners, please submit one at frighteningtales.com. And while you're there, tune in for more than 40 hours of previous content. Today's episode is written by M.N. Wiggins, an author, voice actor, and humorist from the American South. He is the host and narrator for Davis Street Publishing's Clinical Optics Made Easy. His novels include the Arkansas Traveler series. His recent release, The Physician's Guide to Homicide. I wonder what pointers we can glean from that one. Dr. Wiggins' short stories have been featured in Black Petals, the University of Arkansas's Medicine and Meaning, and in episodes of the podcast Creepy, with stories forthcoming titled 13 and the Night's End. M.N. Wiggins' complete works can be found at davisstreetpublishing.com. But today's story is called The Rejuvenator. Mind those baseboards, I instructed the maid from my four-post mahogany bed in my Cotswold manner. That just won't do. You think I don't notice, but I do. And I pay a fair day's wage, and I expect at least minimal competency. Yes, Mum, she replied, nodding as she continued dusting, adding an inane whistling. Stop that, I admonished. You're not a bird. What's got you in such a good mood? She flashed a smile and shrugged. My eyes narrowed. I may be an old woman, but I am not an old fool. There's something different about you this morning. Are you on dope? I warned you any dope and you'd be back on the streets. Her incessant whistling turned to irritating humming as she straightened my comforter. Will the missus be playing bridge at the club today? I will not. And stop touching me. You've been quite handsy lately. But, Mom, don't you think it'd do you good, getting out and all? My nostrils flared at her unmitigated gall. Servants never would have addressed me this way in the old days. I only suffer it now in my weakened state. But she's treading on thin ice. I can still sack her if the mood strikes me. I smile at the thought, and then frown. I have no intention of socializing with hags who snicker at my condition, I said, rubbing my painful hands. Do something useful and fetch my pills. She returned with a silver tray and offered a crystal glass with water. I snatched it. I can serve myself. With the help around here, I have become accustomed to it. The tremor in my hand spilled half the water, but I managed to get the pills in my mouth serviceably enough. She came at me with a napkin and grabbed my chin as if I were a toddler. Let me help you, Mom. Give me that, I snarled, taking it from her. And let go of me, I'm not a child. I shot her my best look of disdain. You simply exhaust me. That's when I noticed How much foundation are you wearing? I asked. Who wears makeup to clean house? Are you meeting someone here at night? Is that what you do? Have sex in my parlor? On my furniture? Is that why you're chipper? Is this the thanks I get for taking you in? I'm not wearing makeup, Mom. I knew it was a lie. The accident had done a number on her face, making her unpresentable in polite society, and unemployable in anything beyond the darkest stockyard. It was only out of generosity that she had a roof over her head and suitable employment. But I saw no such scars now. I understand wanting to cover such horrors and fantasize they don't exist, but I will not tolerate dishonesty, and told her as much. She continued to deny it and took my hand to her face to feel her skin. I have never allowed myself to be manhandled and wasn't about to start with this disfigured tot. I yanked my hand free, grabbed her chin with a healthy grip, and twisted her face side to side in examination. Your face is thinner. Why can't I feel your scars? They're gone, Mum. She stepped back and paraded around the room like a circus clown. See? My limp's gone as well, and I can stand straight without pain. Isn't it wonderful? I demanded to know what this idiocy was. She explained. A man had helped her. A dope pusher, no doubt. She insisted he was a miracle worker, and after his help, which I assume meant a cheap roll in the hay, it was as if her auto wreck had never occurred. I shook my finger. Poppycock! You're on dope, and I'm having you tested. If you come back positive... But the ungrateful nymph interrupted me. Can you imagine? I've been working up to tell you, Mom. I'm rendering 2 weeks' notice. With my scars gone, I'll be starting a new position. If you'll recall, I was once a model. The entirety of the experience up to that point had been irritating. But her fantasy of modeling was so preposterous that it gave me a great case of the cackles. My laughter was so intense that I soon perceived a bowel movement in my future. You've practically eaten us out of house and home for 4 years, I retorted. No one photographs a cow, even one without scars. She lifted her loose uniform blouse and exposed her taut belly, explaining the man had also helped her figure. I had to admit, I was intrigued. I demanded to know this charlatan's name. All she would say was that she'd met him at the pub, a wonderful man with sweet eyes. I scoffed. With your face? Any man who looks at you twice would seem so. A digestive biscuit tastes like caviar when you're starved. I scooted to the edge of my bed. Fetch my walker. Will the missus be going across the hall to see the mister today? He inquires regularly. How long has it been? Her condescending inquiry regarding my bedridden husband was masked in quiet, innocent tones, but the volume of the insinuation was deafening. I shuffled along behind my walker, toward my bathroom. The frequency of my visitations with my husband is none of your concern. You are paid to attend to our needs, not to offer opinions like some back-alley therapist. By early afternoon, I sat at a small table in my bedroom and gazed out the window at our massive manicured lawn as I reflected upon the morning's events. I'd barely touched the pureed duck our chef had made. I'd thought I was done with it, but apparently it was not done with me. I belched with accompanying flatulence. The little maid appeared. "Did I hear you call for me, Mum?" A wry grin spread over my mouth. "Given my opinion of you, I suppose I did." "Shall I take your tray?" She smiled at me the way cats smile as they wait for their owners to die, so they may eat them. "I hope someone suitable can replace me straight away, Mum." I chuckled. "Rest assured you are imminently replaceable." She bowed. "I'll take my leave then." I forced a smile. "Please, sit with me, Matilda." She did as I ordered, bringing a chair opposite mine. "I am cruel to you, aren't I? If you've truly discovered a way to regain your beauty, then I suppose you should move on. I'll bargain with you. 3 weeks severance in return for this mystery man's name." "I'm afraid I didn't catch his name, Mum." I eyed her to determine if the conniving wench was holding out for more money. But by the dull look in her eyes, I saw I had given credit where it wasn't due. "Well, what did he charge for this miracle?" I demanded. "Nothing, Mum. Just asked that I not tell anyone." "And you've done a splendid job of that, haven't you? You're no better at keeping secrets than dusting baseboards." Matilda's perpetual smile faded. She arose from her chair, took my wrists and squeezed. "Stop!" I ordered. "You're hurting me, you twit." My eyes widened as I watched a firelight in hers, a sparkle I'd never seen. The body of her hair blossomed into radiance, and her crow's feet vanished into youthful smoothness. I looked down at my wrists, still writhing in pain from her grasp. I watched my hands wither into dust and fall to the rug. Matilda smiled. "Pity you didn't spend time with the mister. He was so lonely until I kept him company. He marvelously enjoyed that." Her eyes twinkled as she recounted her deeds with my betrothed. "Succubus whore!" I hoarsely screamed. I had imagined my final words quite differently, in some dignified way befitting my family's class and stature. I envisioned quoting my favorite sonnet, or perhaps imparting words of wisdom to a younger generation who shall go on living. But succubus whore was the best I could muster. Completely dreadful. On the other hand, my words did come from the heart. as I witnessed Matilda's beauty enhance as she drained and shriveled my body to dust. I truly hoped the trollop would roast in hell. Matilda wiped her hands as the last bits of me drifted like brown snowflakes into a pile on the floor. She picked up my vanity mirror and admired her flawless face, her perfect smile. "I've been called worse," she said with a hearty laugh. "A contact spell is all it is," she proclaimed to no one in particular. "With an innocent touch, I can take a tiny bit from anyone I wish. Or I can take it all if someone's particularly nasty. The man at the pub taught me. Give a girl makeup, he says, and she's pretty for a day. Teach her to hunt, and she'll have beauty for a lifetime. Perhaps longer." She looked down at my remains. "You said he was a dope pusher, but what he peddles is beauty and rejuvenation, far more addictive. Speaking of which, I believe your husband could use a little sprucing up in the right areas. As I said, I'm starting a new position. I think I should do nicely as his new missus of the house." She smirked. "Oh, look. Parts of you have soiled the baseboards. That just won't do. Well, don't fret over the mess, you haggard old bitch. I'll have someone along to sweep you out." Thank you, brave listeners, for joining me in another dark tale. I urge my listeners to go out and find more content by our weekly authors. You can find MN Wiggins at davisstreetpublishing.com, if you're not too timid. If you enjoyed today's episode, please click the like button. And if you don't want to miss a future story, click the subscribe button. Tune in next week for another frightening tale, if you're brave enough.